Now, one of the teams involved in this weekend's game, maybe the team that looked the best over the past week, was the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
And the San Francisco 49ers have an interesting situation at quarterback where they've got Brock Purdy, who's Mr. Irrelevant. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo, who went out with an injury, and it's already been reported by Jay Glazer that Brock Purdy's going to remain the starter even if Garoppolo comes back for these playoffs, as long as it lasts. There's also been some speculation about maybe Tom Brady could be interested in going to San Francisco.
I mean, why not?
Oh, and by the way, they do have Trey Lance, who they traded a boatload for. Yeah, Trey Lance, who they traded a bunch of picks for to move up in the draft and take. And apparently Trey Lance was a big fan of the move made by the Tennessee Titans. Ran Carthon, who became the Titans GM. Trey Lance posted some quote-unquote cryptic message with fingers crossed with Carthon taking the job in Tennessee. And so some people speculated, could that mean that Trey Lance is hoping that Tennessee could be a landing spot for him as well, too? But it does bring up the question, what do you do with Trey Lance? Because he's never
Is
looked.
there a relationship between that GM and what's the relationship?
Part of the Niners front office.
Okay.
That probably was fond of Trey Lance, which is why they gave up all those picks. But Trey Lance hasn't. I mean, I would argue if you're just going to look based on what we've seen from Lance, he's looked like the worst quarterback on that team. And you've got Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo still there. Garoppolo's most likely going to be elsewhere next year. Like, what do? Do you open it up as a quarterback competition?
Do you bring in Trey Lance? Let's just say they could acquire Trey Lance. You've got Malik Willis on the roster. Basically, you have two quarterbacks who you looked at as guys who needed development. And I don't think either of which are ready at the moment to lead an NFL franchise. So even acquiring Trey Lance, there's huge question marks about what he is and what he will be. And Malik Willis demonstrated that. And you kind of knew that coming into this season. So if you're the Tennessee Titans, you're Mike Vrabel, and you've got a new general manager, you're looking around going, hold on a second. We've had a long run of success, and you're bringing in a guy that's not going to help us have a more solidified quarterback spot? I mean, it almost feels like they'd be more apt or more likely to sign a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo as a free agent, even though he's got an injury history, which Vrabel's going to hate because he loves guys who play through stuff. But he's been effective when he has started, and he has played. And that might be a spot that Garoppolo looks at and wants to go to and go try to win a division and make a run in the playoffs. So I think Garoppolo of the San Francisco quarterbacks would be the one that at least makes more sense in regards to, I think, where that team's at, you know, as far as having the ability to win that division and go on a playoff run, still with some key pieces who are on that roster.
If you hit, though, and I didn't realize he came from San Francisco. I don't know why I missed that. Or maybe I just wasn't really paying attention to it.
Come on, man.
If you were to go there and you brought Trey Lance there and you believed that in a different environment, based off of everything Trey has had to go through so far, that he may be the guy, then you have the answer for quite some time if you hit on it.
Right. Can I ask this, though? What quarterback has it not worked for in Kyle Shanahan's system? Like, that might be the biggest red flag. If you can't look good in Kyle Shanahan's system, that's a problem.
Trey Lance
Nick Mullins got traded for. He got traded for because of his backup work in Shanahan's system. I mean, dude's career in Kyle Shanahan's system. Any quarterback who's played in it will tell you that system you ball. Like, it is so quarterback friendly. And so I think it's more of a thought of, like, all right, like, go get him. But if he can't excel in that system, that's a problem.
Here's a question. If any quarterback can excel in that system, why did they get so aggressive in moving up in the draft to get Trey Lance? Like, why was that? Was that because the longer this goes on, aren't you getting the feeling that was more of a John Lynch call and not a Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah, or someone within the front office. Because, I mean, again, and you look at Brock Purdy, who's coming and done great, and somewhere down the line, that's like Kyle Shanahan's just smirking, smiling, and be like, told you.
And they've taken him, right? And they've taken somebody who's part of that group that made that decision to bring in Trey Lance. So if you're rewarding him by saying the job that he's done has led to you being named the GM of the Tennessee Titans, then if Trey Lance is looking at it like that's my guy and that's why I'm going to post this cryptic message on social media, then who's to say that, they're looking at it like, well, there's an opportunity to get Trey Lance if we get this guy and we could get our quarterback for the future. I'm just saying. I know it might sound outrageous, but that you're not going. If Trey Lance was such a bad pick, then why are you bringing in a guy from the front office that we do place an amount of importance on the quarterback. So
I don't know that he necessarily made the Trey Lance pick. John Lynch is the name.
Right, sure. That's fair.
So he's going to get the fault or credit for it.
The reason why I made the relate.
You can build a strong roster like they have with the acquisitions of veterans and the way you've gone about other draft picks and still get a lot of credit for it. Look at Joe Douglas with the New York Jets. You could make the same argument of Zach Wilson, how that's looked. Yet he still gets credit for Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Quinnen Williams,
sure.
all these pieces he's brought there. So
I just think the connection, the reason why I'm making the connection is because of the cryptic message. Like, if you're putting that up there, that means that you've most likely had had conversations or you have a relationship with this guy for you to even do that in the first place. Like, I'm hoping that the conversations that we had kind of make sense, or we have a relationship or some type of connection there for him to do that.
Why was Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo, why were they able to step in almost immediately? Because the game that Trey Lance went out, Garoppolo, I think, threw a touchdown on his first drive.
Right.
And you could argue Garoppolo was having the best season of his career this year before the injury. Why were they able to pick it up so fast, but Trey Lance struggled?
I don't know. That's something for someone else who's an evaluator who knows him and talks to him and is in the meeting rooms and understand how he learns, how he cognitively sees the field. The thing about Trey Lance, and for people who don't remember this, he only played 1 year of college football at North Dakota State, an FCS level school, because his final year there got stolen due to COVID. He played one exhibition game, didn't look good necessarily, and that's pretty much been it until he's gotten into the NFL. And so there was a lot of growth and development and a lack of experience and reps that he was able to take throughout, even I think in his high school to college, then college to the NFL. And you're also talking about a program that's it's a powerhouse at the FCS level. So it's not like they weren't successful before Trey Lance was successful after. So, I think so many times people get intrigued by the upside ability. He's got a strong arm. He is a good athlete. There's all those things. And they think, look what I can make him or mold him into. The question becomes, do you have time to develop him? Are you going to be able to actually do that? The NFL is no longer a developmental league. It's a league of what have you done for me lately? And that's why guys like Malik Willis or Trey Lance, who we've been talking about, or any other quarterback that you would throw into the conversation needing development. Josh Allen, for example, he needed development. The Bills gave him 3 years. They got him Stephon Diggs. They gave him all the stability around him. You don't see organizations do that. Heck, we're talking about right now, what is it? He's been in their league 2 years now, so it'd be year 3 to be moving on to a second team. That's a tough deal for Trey Lance to deal with. Even if the guy brings him in, you're still looking at a new system, a new offense, a different sense of rhythm and chemistry with those guys. So it's hard for that. If it's hard for a guy who needs more reps, more experience, to be able to focus on developing as a quarterback when he's got all these other things that are changing around him.